Hey there everyone, it's KillerDog here. It really frustrates me when I see people who should be strong enough to do a bit of content, but are still struggling. I have lots of friends, and I mean no offense to them by saying, but I have a lot of friends who should really be able to solo platinum events and tournaments, and they struggle. They struggle because they haven't really changed out of the way they play, and the way they play ends up getting them killed, which in tournaments really matters because you've only got one life. And so I'm doing a short series now, one for Wizard, one for Archer, and one for Knight, just a video on each, to show how to beat PvE. So in these videos I'm going to be showing a low level build, which will be just strong enough to do Platinum events, and I'm going to be showing how you can tackle Platinum events and Platinum Tournament with that kind of character and still beat them quite easily and consistently. Then I'm going to be doing a mid-level kind of build, which is kind of what I'd expect to get an end game player, but like someone who doesn't put loads of time into them. So, you know, they've played for less than a year, but they're still quite strong. And then I'm going to be doing top level stuff and show how to really push the limits of your character to get the best damage output. So going to be going through those three in order, and hopefully this will help out a lot of people. And please, if I do refer you to this video, I don't mean any offense to you. There are lots of people out there who play this game and they play it really well, and then there are others who play it really well, but they're just not quite playing in a way that will consistently get them wins. So that's what this video is going to be doing. It's showing how to use the classes in order to get consistent wins and to just obliterate the PvE content. So without further ado, let's move into the video. In order to create my Archer low level build, I've gone with promotion level 50, and I'm also gone with full relic gear on all types, as well as just a few dragon cores. Additionally, I've got the legendary, a couple of legendary tournament rewards there, and just to increase my power a bit, I've had to put on some Skuruns here, which they don't really do much because I'm not using these particular skills, but they just add on a bit of extra damage, and it just pushes my power over the amount which I need. So here, in terms of Skuruns on the Archer class, I want to talk about it first because all you really need is Scorching Arrows for barbed arrows. That you can create, that single Skurun you can create the whole build around, and the reason why I'm using Chilling Arrows instead of Scorching Arrows is just because fire in this particular event is halved, and that's only like 1/5 of the time. So I'm just going with Chilling Arrows instead. They're almost identical, but it would be Scorching Arrows you get. So you get Scorching Arrows, and you max that out. Just literally do that Skurun, get the any fire bonus you can, and it will carry you. So here with passives, I've gone with exactly the same as I did for the Wizard one. 20% extra damage increase is very useful. 100% armor increase is the equivalent of 50% damage reduction. It's vital. Also extra move speed and extra cooldown reduction. Both extremely useful. Cooldown reduction slightly less so for Archer, however it does mean you can use the decoy more frequently. And then I've got 5 in each of the mana gaining ones. That's because when you're using a mana potion, you'll only actually gain extra mana if you would be normally gaining mana. So here you've got the mana from just passively over time, and then mana from your basic attacks. This is important for Archers especially because barbed arrows cost mana per basic attack. So if you've got mana gain per basic attack, then when you've got a mana potion on, you never have any problems with mana. So that's 50 points into the passives, and then I've put 70 points into the active skills. So here you have got pet damage like Wizard, so it's good to have some when you're weak. And especially at this point with the particular build I am, I'm not critting at all, so my damage output is actually fairly low. It's not really what you'll see on the mid-level and the top tier Archers. However, it's perfectly fine. I found it works, so I've stuck with it. So Ballista here, doing pet damage is going to help out quite a lot. This has got some brilliant damage output on it. So you want Ballista there, 10 points in that. Any extra points is good, but you don't have those points at this point. Then 10 points in barbed arrows. You don't want to take it beyond there. 10 mana per shot and stuff, that's all fine. You can cope with this. So you do that, and then also you've got the basic attack buffs here. So here, this is Pierce. This means your basic attacks will go through the targets. Always very useful. Sniper increases damage from range by 56%. This as well is gonna really help you out. And then Mark of Death. This is to take down particular targets or the boss. It's another increase of 50%. It's a multiplier of 1.5, so yeah, this is good for taking down individual bosses. Unfortunately, these don't work on the ballista, but oh well. And then another key thing, 10 points in decoy. This is going to be your main thing that you spam constantly while you're doing the basic attacks, and then you do the ballista when that comes off cooldown. This with the Festive Spirit Skurun. The reason why I've got the Festive Spirit Skurun here is you can have more than one decoy out at once. This is a PvE Skurun that's just insane. You don't need to level it, really. You can level it up later for the extra slow, but just having the rune on it means you can spam it off really frequently, and you can get this in dungeons, I think. So it's not a problem there. So yeah, you'll see that how that works in PvE in a minute. Spread shot here as well. This I'm not actually using. It's just on for the reason that for farming you'd want this. So it's what I needed 110 points here, so I was able to put 10 points extra into there. So that is the 120 skill points build across there. And like I said, get this to maximum, Scorching Arrows to maximum, and that's all you need Skuruns wise in order to get great damage output. And then Festive Spirit there is just for making your defense really good. So I'm just going to put potions on as well. But that's it for the build. I'm going to go into the event now. Now, as I've already said, unfortunately I'm not critting at all, so I'm much weaker than I should otherwise be. As soon as you've got your stats up a little bit, you're going to be critting, and you're going to be doing a lot of damage with your basic attacks. However, right now, Ballista is going to be doing a fair amount of the damage. So, you want Chilling Arrows buff on, put the other buffs on, Festive Spirit, set one up first before then putting up the other one, because it takes a couple of seconds to come out, so you want to make sure that yeah, it's going to be out. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull all the enemies together using Festive Spirit. So it's got that pull effect right at the beginning. I'm going to be putting the enemies in from either side, putting Ballista down as soon as it comes off cooldown, and then now all the enemies are together, I can just focus on attacking them. So I'll just keep spamming Festive Decoys in, Festive Spirits in there. In most places, they can't take out your, in most cases, tournaments, events, they can't actually take down your Festive Spirits fast enough when you're using a cooldown potion. However, sometimes they do, but this is one of the cases where it pretty much they can't. Now, what makes this event really good for showing how to play is that the enemies periodically respawn, so you've got to deal with enemies coming at various points during the fight, as well as the boss likes to teleport back to the middle, which means you can't quite play how you normally would, which is where you basically pull the enemies together and then just attack them all in that place, focusing on the boss, and then you can just take them all down. Now I'm being a little bit slow here, but basically you pull the enemies in from either side, make sure they're all in one place together. You can see enemies have respawned. I'm just going to pull those ones in from the top, and then now I'm going to pull the ones in from the bottom, and now they're all in one place again. And then you get attacking the boss. But yeah, as you can see, I haven't got great damage output to attack the boss, so it's not the best. And then at some point, some enemies are going to spawn behind me. I'm not sure which point it is going to be at. But anyway, if you can get a Skurun for yeah, here we go. If you can get a Skurun for Ballista that makes it do area of effect attacks, that's really good for taking down lots of the enemies at once. It would be dealing with these enemies much better than it currently is. In terms of Ballista placement as well, you can just put that right in the middle of where the enemies are. You don't need to worry about that. Just as long as it's going to be within range for attacking the enemies, then you can use it to take down the enemies really effectively. So yeah, now I've pulled all the enemies back. I can now focus on the boss again. So it's a bit slow because my damage output isn't very high. Very different to how it will be when playing with a more powerful archer. However, as you can see, it's fairly safe. I did have to use one potion there, but only because some things, landed right on me. As you can see here, tight spot, but you can just pull the enemies away, back off a little bit, and then they're going to attack the decoy. Oh, I have got one enemy facing me. Okay, let's just use a ballista to take him down, just to be sure. There we go, take him down. Okay, so now I can start pulling the enemies back to where the boss is. Well, actually, I can see the boss. I missed the mark of death there. But anyway, I can get attacking the boss again. Oh, he's teleported away. It's making this longer than it needs to be. Alright, let's start trying to pull these enemies back in. So yeah, if you just watch the wizard one, you'll see this is a lot slower than the wizard. However, that's simply because you don't have the crits going on, so your main basic attacks aren't doing so much. Plus, I can't really stand in there so easily because I don't have the way to teleport around the enemies. But the boss is very nearly down, and hopefully it won't take too much longer. Oh, actually didn't place decoys, did I? Oh, here we go. Slight problem. But then we got victory. Perfect timing. Anyway, that was the event. I'm now going to move on to the tournament, which is going to be the same challenge as I did for the wizard. Looking over that clip of me doing the event, I realise I could have gone a lot faster. I could have been a lot more offensive. I got distracted by my talking, so I'm going to try not to get distracted this time. Start off with the buffs. Put out Festive Spirit. Now, these enemies don't actually get pulled by Festive Spirit. They're sort of bosses, so they don't get pulled by it. However, there are only a few of them, and they're not going to be moving about much, so I can, in fact, stand here and pull, basically distract them completely with the Festive Spirits, focusing on the archers. So I stupidly put the ballista in the middle there, but basically I'm going to do the same kind of thing as I did with the wizard, where I focus on the what do you call them? Sorry, getting distracted again. I'm going to be focusing on the range enemies, just attacking those, and yeah, putting the Festive Spirits in the middle, meaning that melee enemy is busy and the range enemies are busy attacking it too, and I can just focus on them. So that's one down. Now we can take down this wolf. As you can see, this is much easier than on the wizard if you just watch that video, and yeah, this is where archers get the title of King of PvE. Sorry, they can control the enemies really nicely and take them down very easily. Right now, my damage is very low, but as you go on to see the rest of this video, you'll see that the damage goes up hugely later on once you can actually do some good damage with your attacks. So now to take down the other range enemy. Again, keeping the Festive Spirits on the melee enemy, not the range enemy, because the range enemy will start running around if you put it right on top of it. Okay, not really much more to talk about, really. I mean, as you can see, it just kind of destroys these enemies because they can't do much. If they could take down the decoys, then it would be a bit of a different story. However, still fairly easy, I think, in general. So hopefully, between this event and the tournament, that's a good enough example to show how to deal with lots of enemies and how to deal with not so many enemies. Especially these don't get pulled as well, and there's a mixture of melee and range in there. So yeah, nice mix of stuff, and hopefully that goes to show how you can fight with an archer with only 120 skill points and still take down stuff. It's just quite slow, but would be a lot faster if I had slightly higher stats. So the chilling arrows and aka scorching arrows would do really well. So I'm just going to finish up here. Ooh, okay. Alright, I was not expecting that. Yep, I forgot he likes to charge, and you can anticipate where he's going to charge by basically putting the decoys the other side, so he'll charge away from you. You got to kind of think ahead with that kind of stuff. Oh, what's going on there? Why was he running off to the side? Odd. Anyway, I've got enough room here to keep pushing him upwards. And obviously he's going to die now. So, that was the tournament. Now we'll move on to the mid-level archer. For the mid-level archer, I'm not trying to show what people get to in the end game. I'm trying to show that in-between stage where you're not weak, you haven't just geared up, but you don't have everything that you want. You don't have all the skillings you want. You're not high class promotion. You don't have like ridiculously high elemental stats. So you're at that stage where you can still progress a lot more. You can still get a lot more powerful, but you're definitely more powerful than you were when you first got geared up. So what I've gone with is level 70 class promotion. Gone mythic gear all round, and also some tournament rewards. Gone for a full set of Dragon Calls, but only epic level, so there's not huge stats coming there. And then with the skills, I've gone with it's 205 skill points, which seems like a bit of a random number, but it's just what I ended up with. So for the passives, exactly the same as with the low level build. However, I've now put 5 more into Mana Drain. This is because I'm not going to be using potions anymore. So this is reducing the amount of the cost of Scorching Arrows quite dramatically. Without a potion, your mana will drain really fast, so you need to have the 10 points in here, but otherwise, only the essentials really are necessary. The build itself still revolves around that basic attacks, and now the basic attacks are going to be doing a lot of damage. So, all those buffs and everything, they're really going to come together, and it's revolving around Scorching Arrows. Again, I'm going to use Chilling Arrows here, and in fact, I'll just show my elemental stats, because with the low level, I did about 25% on the elements. Here, I'm doing slightly more than I'm going to do for the Wizard and Knight. For them, I'm going to go for like 78%. However, on Archer, you can focus solely on fire, and in fact, in the shop, there's a bundle that's always there where you can buy 5 fire tri-stones. So if you get them and you focus on fire and you focus on them, you can get your fire up to this kind of level by the time the other classes have got, closer to 100%. Like, you can go beyond. And I've done this on water as well because I'm using that Chilling Arrows rather than Scorching Arrows. So just imagine it's a full fire build and that I'm using Scorching Arrows. Anyway, so these skills here, going through them, I've added in Volley. This is because this is an awesome damage skill. The Chilling Arrows itself is going to be doing lots of damage itself. The majority of the damage, sorry. But Volley can be used to just do a bit of extra damage, as well as being a great PvP skill, doing lots there. So I've gone with Water Volley rather than Empowered Rapid Fire, just because of the fire resistances of enemies. Ignore the 2 points in there, that was a mistake. I was just testing something out. And then we've gone for getting Festive Spirit up. So this I used at base level on the low level build. However, now it's best to make use of the damage and the slow. Since you're using this skill all the time, you may as well level it up. Extra skills I've added in as well. Rain of Arrows here. It's an underused skill, but I really like it, especially with the Reign of Horror skill rune on it. So what this does is it makes it, you slow the enemies and make them run away in fear. That slow is the really, really powerful thing. That slow stays forever. So what you can do is you can do that on melee enemies, and they will really struggle to catch up with you. You can control them a lot better. Very few enemies are immune to slow, so that has a lot of uses there. I do like it. And then we've also got Smokescreen Dark Mist. I absolutely love this skill rune as well. It gives you 50% damage reduction, as well as all small enemies will be feared and run away. It gives you a lot of control and really helps you out. If you use this in combination with Reign of Horror, you can control those small enemies very, very nicely. And that 50% damage reduction has a lot of use in some cases where you will be sustaining some hits and you need to be able to, tank a little bit. Other than that, I don't think I added anything else, but I did pump up Ballista a lot. Since you have the extra skill points now, this extra pet damage is going to be doing a lot in the events. I've also added the Bomb Turret skill rune, which means that the attacks will be doing air effect, and it means this absolutely destroys the groups of small enemies. And in fact, something which I didn't realise before trying out different things here, was that Festive Spirit with Bomb Turret is incredibly good, because Festive Spirit will pull all the enemies together, and then Bomb Turret will hit all of them at once. So all those small enemies which get gathered together, you sometimes don't even need to attack them with your Pierce combo, because actually the Bomb Turret will take them out really well. So I've got a Fire scoring in this, which is maxed. I only went with the Fire because what you would choose here is in fact Venom Turret. However, that would actually be kind of overpowered with this build, and I wanted to show a more realistic representation of stuff. So Bomb Turret is going to be not adding that much damage onto it, it's just turning it into that area of effect skill that you would have it as. Other than that, skill runes which I added in are Mark of Ignition. This is an incredibly good damage skill. It adds a huge amount of fire onto every basic attack you do, as well as doing an area of effect damage over time fire around the enemy which you originally used it on. So yeah, this is just a huge, huge damage boost that you can use on the boss to do a lot of damage. And then nothing much else. Oh, Piercing Ice as well. Added in Piercing Ice. I do like this one a lot. If you've gone with a fire focus, then it's not going to help out so much. But I added it in there because I do love it. It adds just a bit more damage to your basic attacks. So that's everything there. I think I've covered everything, so let's get on with the event. If you remember back to the low-level archer, I had to stay down here and put my decoys about there, because if I went into that area I got attacked by too many enemies and just killed off. Now, because I've got the skills which can control the small enemies, I'm actually going to be able to go in here and attack the boss. So I can use Rain of Arrows to just pull those enemies away, put down a decoy right on top of the boss, and then start attacking. Put out a Dark Mist just to tank up slightly for those enemies that came and attacked me. And oh, got a bit of lag there, but anyway, can go back to attacking the boss. So again, just keeping the enemies away with the decoy. I did actually end up going back down the passage, as I said, was what I kind of wasn't going to do. But as you can see, I could take out the boss there fairly quickly, and just needed the decoy to separate them off. In previous runs when I was just testing this, so I put like a decoy there, so to walk in, get these enemies to run away with Rain of Horror, and then put a decoy in the middle. As the enemies came in, I used Dark Mist, kind of circled round until they attacked the decoy there, and I was pretty much able to stick on this side, attacking the boss as it sort of respawned back in the middle. Every time these enemies respawned, I could just Rain of Horror them again, and yeah, I always had Dark Mist and Ballista to sort of add on to the other stuff. So yeah, pretty simple. And in most cases you can do that kind of stuff. Anyway, on to the tournament now. This kind of challenge is incredibly difficult, made so especially by the fact that the enemies cannot be pulled around and stuff, so you can't quite use things in the way you normally would. However, you can still just about do it. So I'm going to show how I found that it is possible to do it with these skills. So you've got to take down that guy first, then I'm going to focus on this enemy, getting ready to pull the decoy off to the side here. Okay, you do have to heal up sometimes a little bit, but anyway, I copped out with when it came to the wizard on this one, because it was simply too challenging to pull off, to do consistently. However, it is possible just about with an archer, if a bit tricky. Careful decoy use is extremely important, and in fact, at the beginning, I kind of cheated a little bit with the fact, so the range enemies, they start with like this one-shot attack, and what I did was I put the decoy down. It takes a couple of seconds to spawn, and with that couple of seconds, what I do is I distract the mages, so they attack me with their one-shot thing, then they start attacking the decoy. It means the first one to last a bit longer, and ultimately is what you need to do in order to do this challenge. But anyway, a point I wanted to make was that actually, with these melee enemies, you can use that Rain of Horror very effectively in order to slow them, and then they're just going to stay slowed, so I can move around the map and yeah, to control them a lot better, focusing on the range enemies a bit more. But that's that challenge. I'm going to go on to a more realistic challenge now, just to show what tournaments normally like. This one here is a more normal tournament, so I'm going to mess about a bit probably. So I can start off with the Festive Spirit here, set that off before the enemies come. Then I'm going to just kind of screw with these enemies here to just take them out of the equation. And as you can see, all the little enemies are dead apart from this one over here, so I can now just focus on the boss, and it's a piece of cake. Not the most optimal skill use to you know, use both Rain of Horror and what do you call it? Sorry, I got distracted there slightly. Rain of Horror and also Dark Mist on the enemies. However, I find it makes things easier and more consistent if you do use those skills a little bit more sparingly than you would than you probably should. And it just means that the enemies are out the equation. You don't have to worry about them so much, and then sometimes you can pull them together to take them out much faster. It's just a case of looking at where the enemies have stood at the time and then taking them out. As you can see, very, very easy. I barely got attacked. Had no trouble taking down all the small enemies, handling them, and taking down the boss. So now I'm going to move on to the top level archer. With this high level archer build, what I'm trying to show is the kind of end goal that people want to get to. That stage where they've got all the scourings they want, they've got high promotion and high elemental stats. It'll probably take over a year to get to this point, but what I'm trying to show here is what the top sort of few hundred get to, and what you will get to by the end game. Well, the final end game, without actually being pouring tons of money into it or just getting so ridiculously powerful. However, when you get to this point, you actually do get ridiculously powerful for PvE, especially with the case of the archer. Archers are well known as the kings of PvE, which sometimes gets contested, but it really goes to show when you go for an optimum setup like in this. So, got 120 level 120 class promotion, and with elemental stats I've gone with 156%. I did actually put them up higher because I was going to say that you focus on fire here, especially so you can push it higher than you can the other classes can on their elements, but actually you don't need any more than 150%, so I've brought it down. So I'm going to be actually using water here again, like with the previous ones. The water skewering simply because the fire is going to do half damage. But anyway, so that's my elemental stats, class promotion, obviously the other stuff there. Skill points, I've got 500, which is a lot, but when you're looking at kind of what you are hoping to get in the long run, 500 is a reasonable amount for getting some skills level 99. So with the passive stats, same as the mid-level, you've got the 5 more there to make sure that the barbed arrows doesn't cost too much. That'll be your chilling arrows. So you've got 55 points there, and then 445 here, I think. I'm not going to count it up again. But anyway, quite similar to the mid-level. You've still got that level 99 turret. Actually, I can't remember if that was level 99 or not. But either way, you buff that up to maximum. I'm now using the venom turret because it doesn't make a whole lot of difference, considering you've got crazy damage output at this point anyway. So yeah, venom turret, which is going to be doing extra damage to water types. So that's going to do a lot. Really take out small enemies, especially when you pull them together with festive spirit here. So that's gonna, that combo is still going to be going on. Extra additions, we've got the Shroud Guard, First Aid Sniper Advanced skill with the Shroud Guard skill rune on. This gives you a 20% heal every second for 10 seconds, and it's got a 20-second cooldown. So this is pretty epic. It's just like a constant heal, which may not seem that useful, but when you use it in combination with Dark Mist, suddenly you're tanking very nicely. And with the Skurin on the Shroud Guard Skurin, which is the only Skurin that's come out at the moment, that means that 1/5 of the attacks which you take actually deal no damage to you. So it's not only a 20% heal, but it's also like a 20% damage reduction of sorts. So that on top of the Dark Mist 50% damage reduction means you're roughly protected from 60% of the damage, plus also healing 20% per second. So you can kind of tank. So yeah, that's an awesome kind of combo going on, which the cooldowns mean you can't do it constantly, but with a cooldown potion it would become awesome, or otherwise just generally it means you can tank when you need to. One of the other great additions that I've added is decoys. So getting decoys to level 99 means it gets this extra stat called damage redirection. What that means is that when you put the decoy out, which, sorry, my mouse wasn't responding there. When you put the decoy out, there's an area around it, actually roughly the size of the blast. It's about this big or so, and if you stand in that area and get attacked, actually the damage gets dealt to the decoy instead. Now, it doesn't actually deal damage to the decoy, so the decoy won't die from you taking hits. However, if you take more damage than the decoy has health, then the decoy will stop taking the damage. So, let's say the decoy has 100 health, and you stand, you get hit by 100 health, then you will start to take damage, but the decoy will still be there. And so, what this means is that you can put the decoy out, you can take the damage, and then after a little bit, you run behind and let the decoy take the damage, because the decoy will actually still be on 100 health, even after you've had some damage redirected to it. This means the decoys can last longer by doing that. However, getting it to level 99 also increases the cooldown from 11 seconds to 15 seconds. So that slightly offsets it, but in general this makes it much more useful, because you don't have the problem of having to put the decoy between you and the opponents. In fact, you can just kind of put it nearby you in general, and then you should be okay. You just got to be careful with Festive Spirit, because if you put it nearby you, it'll pull the enemies close and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, once you get the hang of it, and you know what it can do and how you can use it in different cases, there's a lot of functionality going on there, which really helps you out. So yeah, there's the extra additions. Also bumped up volley a bit higher. I say a bit higher, quite a lot higher. It just means it does more damage per skill use. Because chilling the arrows is going to be doing so much damage on your basic attacks, there's not actually a great amount of use for Water Volley. However, by putting it up to higher skill points, increases the cooldown a bit, but it means it's much more powerful when you do use it. This is great for PvP too, so you can like do a few attacks, stack up some chilling arrows, and then use a Water Volley, and then that'll do loads of damage at once, quickly finish them off. So yeah, that if I had extra skill points, it'd probably go in there, but these 3 skills here are great for PvE. And Shroud Guard's amazing for PvP too. Yeah, I've got this up to Tent now as well. Static Field, that's mainly for PvP. You wouldn't really use it in PvE that much. There are better options with Reign of Horror and stuff. But yeah, that's PvP kind of stuff. And then again with Concussive Arrow, this Infinite Combustion, that does a sort of stun effect and stuff, which you can use in some cases, but like I don't find it that useful. I don't think it's that needed in PvE because you've got, again, other options that are better. So this is for PvP as a stun skill. Anything else to talk about? Not really. Just that you're going to be doing a lot more damage, and I've added some screws in, like Ice Blasting Shot. I've got Ice Blasting Shot rather than the Fire version, which you'd probably use the Fire version. It's just that, because I'm using the water skills right now. That's what I got. And then still got the Mark of Ignition, because that's an awesome damage skill there. So in terms of actually using this, the way you would is, well, there are a few different ways you can use it. The same as you were before, so the mid-level archer, you could be fighting in exactly the same way. However, you can use the decoy with like placing it behind you, so you take the hits and then go behind. And so ultimately it's like the mid-level, but you have a bit more tanking potential there with your decoy, as long as you use it carefully. Or you can, you can use the way which you'll see me using a lot, which is where you just simply overpower stuff. So I'll like buff up with all the different buffs, put down decoy, turret, shroud guard, dark mist, and then so I'm tanking here, they're all distracted over there with venom turret going. I've placed that right on the boss. Then I'll mark the boss and just basic attack to its death, which it will die in like 5 seconds. So that's how a lot of PvE goes. However, you do have the way to play with the, like you were before with the mid-level, where you use Reign of Horror and Dark Mist carefully to fear the enemies, the small enemies and stuff. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll do various challenges and just see if I can show some interesting ones, which aren't simply just overpowered. But anyway, I'm going to the event now, which is one I'm going to be overpowering, and you'll see how awesome an archers can be with the damage output as well as tanking and all the tools. The true king of PvE. As promised, I'm going to completely tank up on this one. So I do the buffs, put Ballista, Venom Turret, Shroud Guard, Dark Mist, and then I get the Mark of Death, Mark of Ignition ready, and then simply basic attack it. So as you can see, the small enemies that came, they got feared, and the bigger enemies I just tanked, and then the boss died with basic attacks within like 5 seconds or whatever. That's the case how it can go a lot of times. So I'm going to do this again without Shroud Guard and Dark Mist. I'm going to use Decoy a little bit more, just to show how that level 99 Decoy can come in handy. Alright, so I'm also not going to use Ballista. So I'll put the Decoy there, and then stand over here, mark the boss, start attacking. Now, basically, Ballista, so the Decoy is actually taking the damage, which I'd normally take from these enemies off to the side. So, yeah, I can actually avoid taking all damage. You can see I was taking a bit of damage, but now I'm not taking any more damage from the attacks. And then, yeah, I'm just going to finish off by taking down the boss, if I didn't die, because I was just kind of stood around. But anyway, just trying to show how the Decoy will absorb the damage when you're stood, fairly close to it. You can be quite far away actually, as I showed in that video. But sorry, just then. But yeah, you can't be across the other side of the map. Like you have to be reasonably close to where the decoy is. But anyway, I'm going to move on to the tournament now. Level 99 decoy is really going to help out a lot in this challenge, since a lot of it's about tanking. So I'm going to go in front of it here and use this opportunity to take down the two range enemies, which I could just about do, and then I'm going to slow slow all the enemies, and simply run around controlling them. That's the idea. Unfortunately, I actually ran out of mana, so my chilling arrows came off. But yep, reapplied that all now. So I can just simply take it down. Oh, actually, didn't realise he wasn't the bear yet. Okay, there we go. And all is sorted. Oh, my chilling arrows kept coming off. I don't know why that happened. Anyway, that was that challenge. So let's go on to a more normal tournament challenge now. This challenge, I should be able to simply group it together, all the enemies. Well, I would have if I actually, what's it called? If I didn't use my decoy so far in advance. But anyway, as you can see, able to tank up at the right times to take down the boss really quickly. And I didn't mark it. I'll do that again. I'll do that again and I'll mark the boss. Alright, here we go. Let's try this a bit differently. I'll tank up, group them all together, and then they died incredibly quickly. I'm now going to mark the boss and attack it to take it down as quickly as possible. I won't bother with another decoy, but, you know, I would have put another decoy out there if there was any threat of death. So that's the tournament challenges, and to round off this video, I'm going to show a couple of other tournament challenges, just to try and really display what you can do in terms of dealing with the small enemies, taking down the boss a bit quicker. What I'm going to show for you are 5 more challenges, which are in this current tournament. 3 of them are going to be more interesting ones, and 2 of them which are more simple that I can just tank out. So this one I've already shown a video of doing it with a lower powered archer. However, now that we have the level 99 decoy, it's going to make this a lot easier, and we can pretty much tank up whatever they're going to throw at us, as long as you can keep that decoy alive, or just generally a fewer number of enemies at their house at one time. As you can see, no real trouble right now. However, I'm going to be, because things are kind of on cooldown right now, it's going to make things slightly trickier. However, should be fine. Yeah, the decoy came out, so just in time. Could have timed that maybe a little bit better so it looked smoother. But yeah, anyway. The decoy's out, so it was all okay. As you can see again, the decoy's going to tank my damage, so I just need to keep it alive, and then all these enemies are going to be dying off. So yeah, the idea being that basically the decoy takes half, you take half, the decoy then survives really well. Previously I was having to use Reign of Horror on the decoy in order to keep it alive, but with this it's just, it survives. So yeah, because you're taking some of the hits yourself, and that doesn't take away from its health. So that's that challenge, and how to kind of beat it. With this, the next challenge I'm going to show is this one. It's a really interesting one actually, because you can't fight the boss straight away. You have to take down these towers, and the towers themselves spawn enemies, so it kind of gets a bit complicated, and there's no easy way to do it quickly. So I'm going to take down some of the small enemies first off, just to get them out of the way. And while I've taken down that tower, now I'm going to tank up and take down these enemies. Oh, they actually died off already, so that's all good. Is there a decoy? There is a decoy, but it's going for me. Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna wait out this decoy so I can put another one down. So I'd prefer he was attacking the decoy. Okay. Now I've got Venom Turret ready already, which is a bit of a shame because I didn't want to show it like that. But anyway, I can always switch to tanking if needed when decoy isn't ready. Oh, there's actually a little arched guy down here. Let's take him out. Have I got scorching arrows on? Or chilling arrows? No, it's come off. Oh, I put it on again there. There. I keep flicking it on and off by accident. Oh well. Yeah, so now I can take down the boss. So I'll just go for him here. As you can see, perfectly fine. I didn't have a decoy or whatever. That was my trinket proc which went off. But yeah, things got a little bit messy in there, simply because I kept flicking the I kept flicking the chilling arrows hotkey, I don't know why. Anyway, next one I'm going to show is Permafrost. So this one, I actually had one of my archer friends who's a really good player who kind of just didn't want to do this because it is an awkward challenge to do as an archer. It's awkward because the boss itself does, what's it called, does this attack which is a one-shot from range, and it's got a very difficult set wind-up to see. So the boss itself as well, it also goes invincible for a time. It's done this annoying move. It's one of the most powerful moves in the game, that those ice spikes going along the ground. So I'm just going to keep avoiding this until it goes. Alright. So yeah, it goes invincible for a time and then spawns those suicide enemies. Oh, I got lag. I'm just going to show this again. But anyway, so he spawns those enemies that normally they're suicidal ones that run at you and explode. However, with this, they don't explode on you, they don't do any damage to you, they run to the boss, then explode on the boss and heal the boss. So you've got to take them out when it goes near, but during that time the boss is also invincible. So you've got to, you've got to kind of leave it alone, focus on the towers. So that's why I'm taking down the towers first of all. I'll try and do this more like I normally like to, which will be to take down this tower, so I can fight properly. And I've got to dodge these spikes while pummeling the boss a bit. Got a bit of lag, unfortunately. Don't know where that's coming from. But yeah, let's attack the boss more now. So you can see there that he's doing it on my decoy. He does the same kind of animation as he does for summoning the ghouls and making himself invincible. So it's kind of tricky to see. But anyway. Everything looks fine now. Taking him down. So there's usually like one of those avalanche things down on you, and it's kind of in the middle. He does the ice spikes first, and then it comes. So as long as you're aware of it, and any time he like roars, you just run away. There may actually be an audio cue for it that's different to the other one, but anyway, I don't have the sound on, so I never really play with the sound on these days, so I don't hear their stuff. So this is more of a normal challenge. Well, normal I say. It's there's a lot to it, but as an archer you can tank up enough. When you're a high level archer, you can tank up enough just to simply take on the boss. So I'm going to use all my buffs, put down decoy, and then mark it, and just simply attack. Now right now I'm tanking with the healing and the dark mist. I've got the decoy there as well, so if things do get messy I can run towards the decoy and it will tank up the damage for me. So yeah, that's just the most consistent way to take down all the ones which are simply just a boss kill. Once you get strong enough, it's very easy to pull off, and you can do it in most of the challenges. So there's only 3 challenges in this particular tournament that you can't do it on, yeah, I'm just going to show this second one as well that you can pull it off on. So doesn't matter so much what order you do these in, just remember to use all the different skills and then attack. And do a little volley as well, just to finish it off. It's best to stack the chilling arrows because they do more damage per second, and then the volley is just literally to take out the enemy with the last hit. So anyway, that wraps up this video. I hope that's enough to show on the archer class how to do all these different bits and how to completely control PvE in almost all cases with any kind of build. And at the low end, you definitely need potions. But once you get to the mid-range, well, I say mid-range, it's kind of like off the low range, then you can do it without potions by using the methods I've shown, and then when you get into the top level, like it gets stupidly easy, for archers especially. So anyway, that's everything I wanted to show in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, or on Facebook if you're watching this there. And I will probably not do an updated version of this at a later date, purely because there's always a lot of moving parts, and I don't think things are going to change too much between this time now and the future, simply because there are enough tools already to deal with all situations. So if there are great things which change, or just major developments to the game, I will be doing this video again. However, otherwise, I will not be redoing this at a later stage. So I hope this stands the test of time. And anyway, that you're able to enjoy this in the future too. So thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.